Okay, part 2 of Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine. This crystal is representative of this story. It holds the blueprint of this information, and it's asked to be present during this, which is really cool. I got these two crystals a long time ago, and it's been an incredible journey. I just want to show this. Okay, so the storyline of male and female energy and how it came about. So I started the story off explaining to you that we're male and female inside, and that I'm looking in my world, and I'm looking to the far reaches of my world, so into my secondary, to get information that would better help me understand how masculine and female became pulled apart, not together, not trusting one another, not loving one another, not respecting one another. And we could say, well, I respect, I'm in a relationship, and I respect this person or that person, whoever we've thrown into our secondary positioning to identify ourselves. I'm not talking about not having a good relationship in your life. I'm talking about if you look out into the collective consciousness and you see that that we are not at peace and oneness in totality of love, it's worth examining, because somehow, some way, some part of you, a grain of salt, is adding to that collective state. The quantity of that percentage depends on how much of a magnanimous manifester you are. And why is that story there is not to judge oneself, but to examine it from what we've collectively agreed to, because we may have changed our mind about what that collective agreement is. You won't know if you changed your mind, right? Unless you have an honest know thyself conversation, which is what I did yesterday, but I utilized it through a friend's consciousness as well. Well, having this crystal right here is I can feel it. It's happening through here, that's the best way to describe it, and it's happening through my jawline. It's a trip through this side especially. I noticed it last night after I had this awareness. I went and I got pizza for a celebration. It was really good pizza. And I was chewing, and this noise was happening through here and through here. Like it had hollowed out somehow. It was tripping me out. And it then shot down into my neck area. And right now I can hear it moving through my throat area. So your collective consciousness will affect your physical being. I love this, by the way. I love sharing with you this journey and putting it into words. It's kind of cool. So, reel it in, Susan. So this identification, right, it's worth examining. So once you're looked at your primary world and decided to better understand why your secondary world has been created, it's where the opportunity lies. And I wanted to know about it from a twin flame perspective, from a male-female perspective. I wanted to know how we came together and why we had separated out so far from one another. So the first part of that examination was to look into the collective consciousness and to start to see the pain from a woman's perspective, I could see that the pain for me was about lack of confidence in the male's ability to make a decision. Clean, noble, integral decisions about who they slept with, who they dated, their decision on how they would go about wanting to come towards the feminine, towards sex. Did they come with honesty and nobility, or did they come to take, pillage at any cost? Right? So we look out now into the collective and we can see war, right? Men in war, men, and now we take a step, and these are, what I'm doing is I'm pushing out the storyline to see the story more objectively, and from the woman's perspective. So we're playing right now in the woman's perspective. So I was looking and I started to see that if I went to the depths, like if I went to a collective energy of men using women for sex, then go even further, and men raping women, all of these feelings were about not feeling safe inside and not trusting the integrity level of the male. Excuse me. And it was so far removed that the honest conversation about it was somehow still affecting my reality system, but it was so far removed that to even look at it seemed too far-fetched, right? Because that's not what I'm creating. I'm not creating rape, misogyny, male domination in my reality system. I created variations of that, right? But not extreme, right? So then I start to think, well, what does the feminine think of the male? And do we hate them, right? And I had to be honest with myself to see outside myself in a world that would create rape, using and abusing and beating women up, harming woman in any capacity, meant that that energy was no better or lower than the dissemination of a dog. To me, it was like a dog has better manners than a man does, right? And so that was the extreme version of my feelings, to an extreme awareness of a collective that was going on. And then I had to reel it back inside self and look at it from that perspective and heal that participation, however small, was allowing for that collective, now that's way out there, right, to continue. And my energy was wrapped up in that story somewhere, somehow. And it was time for healing. Because me saying that energy is lower than a dog, it was self-prophesized that it would become its lowest common denominator. How long did it take to get to that lowest common denominator? Were centuries, right? Centuries and centuries and centuries. But I had to be honest with myself. I had that thought. And as I looked out into the world and I could see the collectiveness of where that thought in its far-reaching state was in its action mode. I could see back here that somewhere I had projected it out, or I couldn't see it. And that's the part of being honest with thyself. And that is about desire to know thy truth, to heal thyself, not from judgment, not from the desire to continue it. And I could see split off variations in the reality system I called our world. And I could see that I participated in it. And it was time for it to heal. Because as long as some part of my refractal energy out into our world believed that I was adding to a collective consciousness with my energy. Now, I've already shared with you, I'm a magnanimous manifester, and so are you. So from the feminine standpoint, what did I create with a tiny grain of salt of my energy? Ooh, right through here is I've got some vibration going on right now. So let's go into now the healing piece of it together, because I'm sharing this with you as my reflection, because we're ascended masters. We're ascended masters of love, coming back in to meet up with the ego that has run with this magnanimous energy and created a lot of skewed storylines in a collective consciousness that I participated in from the ego state, that I choose to examine so I can participate in the healing. I'm that reflection for you. And it's my honor to be that reflection. So I go within myself and I go back to collective consciousness. I go back to the lineage of my mother and my father. And I go back to the I am of Susan and the ego that now knows it's safe to show me everything about myself and know that I will love it. And the place we love it is when we go back to light, the light of the soul, the light of all origination of creation, and we bring it to Mother, Father, God, and we say, I'm so very sorry that I had this thought. I did not know that I was creating a thought against self that created separation out, that creates so much hurt in the world, so much distortions of pain. I don't know how to fix it. I know that I'm sorry. And I called it other because I was so ashamed that I had a thought other than love for anything I saw as outside of myself. Heal. Bring light to those places and spaces, all of those cells of the origination I've created from my energy, and bring it all to light. Bring it all to oneness. The me, the we, the all that I'm contributing to in our world. I forgive myself. I forgive those who have trespassed against me. I ask for the ultimate healing, and I ask for the healing of divine feminine and divine masculine. Ask and you shall receive. That's what I keep hearing. I want to take all of that pain and I want to place it back into love. Take every part, particle, and piece of me, all energies in which I am, in which I've always been, cleanse and clear them down to the finite parts, particles, and pieces. Restore them all to love. Divine love of the highest light, highest love, highest of sounds and vibration. All of me in all aspects in which I am participating in are asking to be restored to divine love. Ask and you shall receive. My world, our world, accepts the male energy, knows that they are love, knows that they are noble and kind and beautiful, honorable, trustworthy, amazing, beloved, truth-seeking, kind, selfless, divine love. I love you. So what I'm feeling right now is duality. It's separating out, it's coming back together, it's reforming and recalibrating itself. I see two of me right now. I see two parts of myself. It's beautiful and whoa. See two reflections. And to those two reflections, I say, I love you. I love you. I'm so very sorry and I love you. I forgive you. There's no part of the ego that wants to keep this play continuing in my reality, in our reality. We're in this together. If you've forgotten, then I'm a reminder. We all have our own individual part to play in this collective healing. One is not more important than the other. I'm honored that I have been given this role, and so very appreciative. I'm going to stop this video and we'll do the second part, which is the reflection of the man. I truly love you.